Good morning. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is David Okon. I'm so grateful for everybody who have been helping me, and those who have been subscribing, those who have been sharing the videos, and those who have been watching, and those who have been leaving comment below. And you have done very well, and I'm so grateful. We are continuing to talk about the cost of living crisis, but we are referencing the cost of living crisis in terms of universal credit. Universal credit is a type of benefit. Benefit in the United Kingdom is a type of money. If you see the title of this movie, of this video, then you will discover that I have actually mentioned the word finance. But for purposes of welfare system in the United Kingdom, I will be using finance to mean money or things which are not money. But when it comes to universal credit, it is money. It's the main body of wealth, financial health, money given to the British people and people who live in Britain who are actually eligible for such a benefit. I've been talking about these issues. We talk about it. Watch the other videos and watch this one also, and connect them together for the videos to make sense. I'm so grateful to YouTube for this opportunity, and I will be talking about the sickness element of universal credit today. And there's something called limited capability for work-related activity. I will discuss working facility, the health facility of the benefit, and also the moving away from legacy benefit and moving to modern benefit as opposed to legacy benefit, which is universal credit being the modern benefit. If you watch this video and watch with the rest, you will understand what universal credit is and what legacy benefit is. Go and wherever you are in the world, go online, especially if you're in the UK, go online and access gov.uk. Access gov.uk and access information you need in relation to cost of living prices, in relation to benefit. Benefits is important because it accounts for income for people who are low income, people who need help, and these actually normally help actually in relation to handling the cost of living crisis. If you notice from the video I've been producing, I've been mainly talking about cost of living crisis. This is actually necessary. It has been necessary because the cost of living crisis is practical. We may actually intellectualize or even make it a topic, but you see, the reality of the cost of living crisis is that people are actually suffering. And in as much as I talk about information, which is actually policy and law, I will also try my best in this program to discuss the human element of the problem. People are actually suffering poverty in the United Kingdom, and this is something we need to remember. And if you live in the United Kingdom and you actually in contact with your MP, or whether you're not in contact with your member of parliament, try to get in contact with your member of parliament and do something called lobbying the MP. If you go and speak to your MP alone or with a group. And normally, if you're 2 or 3, you book an appointment with a member of parliament. Find out how to online, go online. Normally, it's good to go online and find out how to book an appointment to see your member of parliament to discuss policy from your point of view as a voter, as a member of the constituency or the constituency. Let a member of parliament understand your situation from your point of view. And hopefully, if this exercise actually is enhanced by communities, families coming together and forming initiatives to try and put pressure on members of parliament, on politicians, and also councillors in the local authorities, in different local authorities. It doesn't matter which government is in power, whether it is the Conservative Party or the Labour Party, or a coalition between different parties. It's the same, their government, their role is to run the country, and the welfare system in the United Kingdom is intended to help people who cannot help themselves. Education, health, housing, income, employment, access to the law, family issues. Sometimes we talk about everything else except the family. We all as human species, as communities, as families, we were born in our families. We exist because of our families. And so government should really pay attention to the matter of the family. And we have other issues as well. Things like consumer issues, or even the wider economic issues, political issues, environmental issues, looking at technology. You see, all these are actually factors affecting our living in the community, and I've been talking about them. I will continue to talk about them. And watch the video, support the channel, and share with family and friends. Leave a comment. Feedback is extremely important. I need to know what is happening with this program, whether it's a good program, whether it's not a good program. I want to know from the viewers. We are saying few, the more the merrier. So I'm looking forward to growing this channel. If you have any means or you have any idea how I can grow faster, let me know. Otherwise, we're making a steady program to our progress, and we are continuing to do so. I'm happy the way things are going. I'm not complacent, but I'm contented, and I'll be carried on. So let us go back to looking at the topic of universal training. There is a moving away from legacy benefit into universal training. Legacy benefit actually is the old type of benefit in the United Kingdom, which the government is now shutting it down. The old type of benefit in the UK is now being shut down. There is transitioning from the legacy benefit or the old benefit. Legacy actually means the old, something in the past, something which is old. It's called legacy. In this context, at least, in the context of universal training, it means old benefit. So coming away from legacy benefit into the new benefit, which is universal training, which is actually the main plank, the main body of support in terms of money, in terms of income from the government. The government may name it one way or the other, but what we all need to know is that these things are semantics. They are window dressing. The substance remains the same, but if there are changes, substantive changes, then it appears in the form of policy and law. And that's what I'm trying to address. So there is a transitioning. It's moving between different elements of universal credit, we're looking at limited capability for work-related activity. If you watch the other video, you will discover this is actually a type of sickness benefit, so known as sickness or element, which you're sick or disabled. The difference between this sickness and disability is subtle and perhaps also technical. Leave a comment below if you know the difference between sickness and disability. Because sickness and disability in terms of benefit is treated almost exactly the same. And you get one benefit for sickness, you get the same benefit for disability. Because you know the policy argument of the government or in relation to benefit is that what they look at when they are assessing sickness benefit is that they look at how your medical condition, which is either sickness or disability, how your medical condition impacts on your life, normal life at work, normal life at play, whether at home or abroad, wherever you are, as long as you are linked in one way or the other, in one relevant way or another, to UK for purposes of benefit. So we'll talk about limited capability for work-related activity. This is meaning you are very sick in terms of benefit provision. You are very sick if you are found to be in this category. Limited capability for work-related activity. In terms of the universal credit sickness element, it means precisely that the Department for Work and Pension are found by way of assessment and other mechanisms. They have actually discovered that you are a very sick person. You're so sick that you cannot work. You're not actually required to work. Condition of accessing benefit, of actually claiming benefit, you're supposed to look for work as a condition of claiming benefit. You have to look for work. You have to be available for work at either condition of claiming benefit. And in terms of this sickness and sickness element of universal credit, we are actually paying close attention to whether or not somebody is trying to claim a sickness benefit, and the DWP is actually deciding whether limited capability for work-related activity applies, in which case applicability will actually imply the individual claiming benefit is extremely sick. So sick that the DWP, Department of Work and Pension, have made a decision that the limited capability for work-related activity claimant is so sick, the DWP has waived the conditionality of the requirement to look for work, the requirement to work, because you have to be available for work, which means if there is work, and the government talk of reasonable offer of work also. Increasingly in terms of sickness benefit, increasingly this is what the government is trying to do now. Is trying to push for a more stringent approach, policy approach to controlling access to benefit generally, but in particular actually the sickness benefit. And therefore, somebody who is very sick, the DWP, Department of Pension, have decided this client, this person, the DWP, they are referred to as customer, which is actually a commercial term, which is actually, you go in one place, you are referred to as a client in the, on another sector, maybe outside the civil service. I'm not so sure, but when you go to the Department of Work and Pension in the United Kingdom, you are referred to as, people used to be referred to as clients, now they are referred to as customers. That is actually the government attitude to public sector, to public service. They are viewed in terms of commercial business, and we talk about things like efficiency saving or cutting costs, and it's also filtering, because this is actually a statutory situation within public sector. And also there's another sector, the voluntary sector, which is actually an auxiliary of public sector and public service. Organizations such as Citizen Advice being the biggest advice service in the United Kingdom is an example of the voluntary sector in the United Kingdom. Supporting policy and law, including the social policy, especially social policy and social policy, and also the law involving, for example, universal credit. Universal credit, which actually falls within the social policy objective and also processing. So when it comes back to this situation here, limited capability for work-related activities, this is somebody who is really sick. They get more benefit, and it's over 500, I think, because I can't remember the exact figure. It's about 500, between 4 and 500 probably, if I'm correct. This is paid monthly. Doesn't matter the amount, but the information is actually online. And if you're interested to know, you can also do a benefit calculation. We have spoken about that, and we'll be speaking about that. If you want more information, leave a comment below. And let me see if I need to speak about these things, to repeat them, because my priority is actually if people viewing, especially in the UK, if they want actually help, I should be in a position to do a research, and actually, I don't know how I'm going to do that, because I don't really give advice on YouTube. I'm not registered as an independent advisor, so I don't know how that's going to happen. But most likely, I'm going to give information, like the telephone. I will not be giving advice. The gap between giving information and advice is really sometimes blind, because you can give information, you can give advice, you can probably do casework or other. Maybe you can be an advocate, campaigning for policy issues, or lobbying MP, or just a community mobilizer. I mean, you can do any of these things. And if you're happy, if you're capable, because this is a free country. I mean, we live in a fair and free country. We can do one thing or another. To that extent, we are free. And in the developed world, in Europe, America, in Asia, in Africa. So let's go back to look at the question. Sickness element and moving. We'll actually talk about movement of people who claim benefit. You can be in a situation where you move from one benefit to another, and this movement actually may sound simple, but in practice, especially if you're a sick person on low income, being moved from one benefit to another for technical policy reason, which I feel sometimes that it complicates the system of benefit. Because you see, people can be moving from one benefit to another. And I have expressed opinions in other places that instead of the government maybe creating a sickness benefit, the housing benefit, a sickness benefit for actually children is different. For adults are different, and also people who are of pension age, state pension age are different. So there are also within these, there are actually different types. There is one which is means tested, there's another which is actually not means tested. That is okay generally. But what I would say about sickness benefit in practice is that if the government wants the British people to access sickness benefit, they should remove health assessment process immediately. The cost of health assessment for sickness benefit, which is not done by doctors, it's done by health assessors, which is actually employed by the DWP. I think they are part of the Department of Work and Pension. They are part of the civil service, part of the government. Because sometimes the government works with private companies, Sometimes we work with voluntary organizations, sometimes, but often, if the government is to work with the government instruments, it is going to be statutory. So the statutory bodies, in terms of legal, maybe outlook, statutory bodies are the ones who should be owned by the government, as a system of administrative and maybe policy and administrative management and delivery, if you like. But the complications are just so unrealistic, it's so unreal, and a lot of people actually don't get benefit at all. And people also don't like benefit because there is a lot of problem accessing benefit. And the process, there is a lot of delay. Universal credit, you wait, if you claim universal credit, you're going to wait for 5 weeks. And there is absolutely no reason why you should wait for that long for benefit. No reason at all. Waiting even for a week is not necessary. You claim benefit today, the next day you should get it. I mean, if you put your money in the bank, if you want to take your money out, you take it immediately. The money is in the bank. We understand this is not bank, but if you claim benefit today, an assessment process should be really simple. Do you work? Do you have evidence of not working? Bank statement. If you don't have a bank statement, the DWP, Department of Work and Pensions, should phone your employer if you have left work. If you haven't been working and you didn't know you could claim benefit, because there are people who work who do not actually work, they don't have any saving at all, but they don't know they can claim benefit. They don't know they can claim benefit, and they're probably living with families or friends. Basically they're squatters. They live in poverty. They depend on other people other than on the government. They depend on friends. They depend on family. Some people are actually on the street because they don't know they should claim benefit. If they know, they don't know how to claim it. If they know how to claim it, their attitude is to avoid it, because it is so. You're telling everybody in the world that you are actually poor, that you are a useless person, because we live in a society where if you work, then you are somebody. Even if you don't get paid much, you have your dignity as a human being. Benefit system is so demeaning. People feel so abused. People feel so insulted. And broadly, there are people who are actually keen on getting benefit. But it's like you're begging on the street almost. There's no dignity associated with it. And with modern day technology, with technology now happening, the government should know automatically that somebody is not working, because you already said at the hospital. The government should have that information from the hospital. There should be a policy of information sharing, which actually is available. That mechanism, that policy, that law is there. Public bodies can share information for certain purposes, and for certain purposes, this should involve benefit, housing, and healthcare, as education. And I've been talking about this. I am willing to stray from focusing on one aspect if necessary, so that I really bring it out for people to understand. If an MP is watching this, in case they don't really know what is happening, people are actually suffering a lot. If you care about people, if you care about the British people who are actually living in one of the richest countries of the world, on the earth, and these are people who are people who are really suffering. People are contemplating committing suicide because of the abuse they find while trying to access public service. This is the facts. And there are actually organizations who try to advise the government. Organizations like Citizen Act. The government, of which the government could listen a bit more about it. See, my opinion of the government is that the government is tediously lacking in listening. Not just the United Kingdom. This is not about the UK. This is about governments generally, the behavior of government. We need to really know as British people, as Europeans, as Americans, as Asians, as Africans. We need to understand broadly the behavior of government. Government behaves in such a way of it's always a form of arrogance. Not even arrogance. These people, the people working in this Westminster, I think they're so humble because you see the task given to them to run the country is really big and so humbling. The offices are so humbling, and when you meet some of these people, you know that they're so humble. They're so humble, but there is an underlying arrogance, which is actually, I think it is actually rooted in bad politics, where these public figures have to show off, or be moderate and others, have to really be drawn into this tedious form of bureaucracy, such that the political worthless, I would say worthless political ideology. Because if something really makes people suffer, then for me, and I think if you're a human being, unless you're an alien, if something makes a human being suffer, that is unnecessary. It's worthless. So public service is becoming worthless because through the public sector, British people are now suffering because the negligence of the institutions, the negligence of the public economy is so bad right now that something needs to be done. I will just talk about benefit. People who have been watching my television will watch my video will see how complicated benefit system is. This is just benefit, and not just benefit, it's just one aspect of benefit, universal credit. And right now, I'm even talking about a narrower aspect of universal credit. Talk about transitioning from legacy benefit to universal credit. I'm actually looking at the tendency of people who claim benefit. You can be on one benefit today. Tomorrow, will ask you to move to another benefit. How you move may not be straightforward. You may have to claim every time you move from one benefit. You have to fill out a very serious, complicated form. Like, say, limited capability for work related activity. This is actually the highest level of benefit relating to literally believing that you are very sick. You're sick enough to get the highest level of benefit, which is limited capability for work related activity, as compared with limited capability for work. There is limited capability for work related activity, and there is also limited capability for work. Limited capability for work is the same with limited capability for work related activity. The difference is that you get lower benefit with limited capability for work. The longer acronym brings you more money. And when I say more money in the scheme of things, level of benefit is extremely low. Get through a lot of trouble to get just a pittance of money, a very little amount of money to keep British people in poverty perpetually. That also is reflected in the national minimum wage, the national living wage, which is also income factor, which relate actually to the cost of living. It is the cause of the cost of living crisis in the United Kingdom and across the globe. People are poor because they are low income, because they rely on credit. If you are the middle income earner, because you want to live in a house, you want to buy a house or a mortgage. Mortgage is the credit. Credit means you borrow money and you have to pay it back. As much as you're living in a house, you produce a form of anxiety and fear of losing your home on a daily basis. You become a slave to society. You are feel the pressure to having to work even if you feel you need to take a break. Employer is now king, and this is also welfare policy to do with employment policy. Employer is king. They do almost as they please. The trade union are shut down. With Tony Blair actually shut down the trade union. The British people still think there is trade union. Trade union is no longer there. I don't know even why people go to demonstrate, because I don't know, so I can't really say very much. But I think every little helps. And you know, it's like in its dying moment. The public sector is in its dying moment now, attracting things like even what do you call it? Strike. They call it strike, but it's a demonstration. It's demonstrating to complain about working condition, low level of pay. You have to work sometimes with 0-hour contract, with flexible working, which employees do not ask for. Because you see, in terms of contract, employment contract, this is actually superficial. Because if you are an employee, you're looking for work, you don't have any option. You're desperate for work. There is no sufficient supply of employment. Demand is probably, the ratio of demand to supply of employment in the United Kingdom is probably, you can work it at, supply is probably 30%. 70% is supply. People want work, and they want decent work. So, the kind of work which doesn't actually enslave them. It doesn't turn them into slaves. It does the kind of work which does not lead you into perpetual, permanent poverty. And this I am actually saying over and again. And for people to start talking, observe the British people only speaking when they feel like speaking. Sometimes the idea of freedom of speech, also speaking necessarily, is a staple for our welfare, for recovery, for stability, for peace. If people come, if you find a voice to speak, please speak. But nothing is more frustrating if you talk alone. Like I am talking alone, but this is my choosing, which is okay. I'm fine with it. But you are in a situation where in a society people are now keeping quiet. People are keeping quiet. It's so frustrating. The government is keeping quiet, and I think the government should come back and start talking about poverty. And I'm not even talking about wealth yet. People who are rich, people who think they are rich can talk about wealth. But the vast majority, I think 90% of the British people, in my opinion, are actually not rich in the first place. But a lot of them are poor because of low pay on national minimum wage, national working wage, national living wage, whatever you call it. Low pay. But the biggest situation involving poverty and condition of employment. This has to do with middle class. The middle class actually. Middle class think they're doing well, and they are. Because if you have money, you can buy things. You can buy as many things as you like. You can buy a car. You can buy chairs. You can buy whatever you want. You can buy a house. You can get a mortgage. Because you work in a bank. You work in computing. you're probably a computer engineer or cyber security manager or analyst, or I don't know what else. I mean, there are technocrats everywhere. How much money do they get? If a medical doctor in the UK only get £25,000 per annum, I think that's before tax. I mean, after tax, probably about 15,000 per annum. A medical doctor. That is a joke. The government actually defends that is it's proper pay. But some CEO are paying. I mean, CEO of private companies can be paid. I mean, private companies can be paid in the hundreds of thousands, millions even, with bonuses. And yet a medical doctor in the United Kingdom don't get paid actually compared, because that is the level. I mean, who study? Who actually? These people work for people. Doctors work for British people. Bankers create wealth. I mean, economists create wealth. They are, if you value wealth, you value money more than human life, then you pay doctor only 25,000. When you are only paying an equivalent professional in the banking or in wherever, you're paying them 2.5 million. You pay per annum, you pay 2.5 million in the private company, private corporation. In the public sector, like, I'm sure some doctors actually paid in millions if they're working in the private sector. The abuse actually to do with the public sector, because the company is already complaining that the public they want to save taxpayers' money, but it's the taxpayers' money who want to be paid more. They are the ones living in poverty. Unless the government has a meaning of the people they refer to as public. The public probably to them is actually people who are multi-millionaires and multi-millionaires who are actually paid in millions, sometimes even in billions. These are the taxpayers. So by reference, the government is trying to save their money by not spending publicly. Now, if you're not spending publicly and your argument is you're actually saving public money, is ridiculous. If the same public who are actually living in poverty, you don't listen to them, pay us more. Yes, it is our money, it's public money. Our money, pay us. We are dying of poverty. We can't access housing. We wait for 20 years on the waiting list. We're waiting for public housing. We are suffering. It is our money. You say we are the public, unless we are not, unless poor people in Britain are not the public. Only rich people are really public. Rich people are maybe only 10%. 20. If you push it, then 20%. And the way poverty is actually defined also should be changing. I don't know. Maybe poor people should be the one defining poverty. If you're poor, you should be the one. I mean, why should somebody who is not poor, a professor, a think tank, who is a millionaire, multi-millionaire, is the one defining, telling the government what poverty means? People who are living in poverty should be the one telling the government this is what poverty is. And so they should also be advising the government on minimum pay, wages, or whatever you call them, living wage, all this rubbish. Because you don't need that. You just say pay. Decent pay. That is what, if like people who need to get out of poverty, they will talk about in terms of decent pay. They don't talk of minimum nothing. We talk of decency. We talk of fair pay. See? And fair play, if you like. And the people should actually talk to their MP. The MP should take this information to the government. No think tank, no aristocrat should advise the government on how much the government should pay the British people. Because these people are not poor. Why should a multi-millionaire or even a multi-billionaire should be the one advising how to pay poor people. Even the level of benefit, people who are on benefit should be the one telling the government, this is how much benefit we need. The idea of need should not be assessed by the government who listen to our technocrats, people who are actually millionaires and billionaires. Listen to them, they are irrelevant. They don't know poverty. They don't understand it. So the system should change. Poor people, people who are on benefit, people who are on minimum wage, should be the one advising a member of parliament, telling them this is how much we need in benefit, because we are the ones who are receiving benefit. Why should somebody who doesn't receive benefit decide on our behalf? Advising government, pay review body should be actually occupied. Those spaces should be occupied by people who actually are victims of the system, living in poverty. Poor people should be members of the pay review body. You see, pay review board or pay review body, whatever you name them, every time you question the government, why are you paying people low? Oh, it is not us. We are not responsible for that. Pay review board are responsible for that because they advise us so. So fire them. Come to poor people. Talk to your MPs. Because that's what democracy is. Talk to your MPs. Every MP should come to the people who receive benefit. The people who actually are on low pay, minimum wage. Let them advise the government. If you want to call them pay review board or body or whatever you want to call them, they should be membered by people who are actually at the receiving end of social injustice. This is something the government should consider changing. If they really are serious, if the MP we elect cannot think, they need to still want somebody, I think tank, an academic, a theory, somebody who actually read textbooks. I'm not despising education. I'm not despising learning. But people who are out of touch, who doesn't know, they don't understand poverty. They are misleading the government, allowing government, because the government now do not take responsibility for keeping the British people in poverty. Their excuse, I think they are having an excuse. If you ask them, why are you keeping the British people in poverty? Oh, money doesn't grow on trees. We don't have unlimited money in this country. We have to save taxpayers' money, which is totally ridiculous. Because you see, these taxpayers, you are saving money when actually a minority of the population are actually swimming in wealth. And you're telling us we are saving our money for who? And the British government using tax policy to give taxpayers money in billions to energy companies who even say they don't need money, they don't know what to use money, they made so much money, they don't know what to use the money for. British government turned around and refused to give help to the British people. It turns around and give billions of pounds to British to energy companies. I mean, I hesitate to describe this kind of behavior as being wickedness, a form of wickedness by the British government. And if all governments behave like that, then I'm sorry, it's my opinion. Doesn't mean they're wicked, but I think it's a form of wickedness. Because see, how can you give money to somebody who tells you even in public, we made so much money, we don't even know what to use the money for. And the next day, the British government, okay, have some more money. We know you made money, you don't even know what to use the money for. You are swimming in money, you are using money, you use the money as part of your pillowcase. You are so rich. And there are people who are now actually literally dying because of sickness, because of the Department of Health, the health sector, the health service are free to Britain for people who are on public on public service, on public health service. It has failed, and people are actually dying. We think people are dying of natural causes, but they are dying because of negligence, government negligence. Government refuse to finance public sector. And that's why you see, when I look at information such as this, I stray talk about the broad problem. What is creating this complication? Somebody is actually sick. You make a sick person. You decide to create sickness benefit. Nobody asks the government to create sickness benefit. All the government needs to do is actually pay one benefit. Whether you're sick, nobody is saying if you're sick you need more money. Sick people want to recover. Finance the health service. Sickness has nothing to do with benefit. People are sick, finance the health service so that people access health care. If you phone your general practitioner in the morning, you should get an appointment with the GP the same day. If you cannot get an appointment with the GP the same day, then exceed the next day, or at least within the week. Now, as I speak, if you phone your general practitioner, your GP in the United Kingdom, you will wait for about 2 hours on the phone. Nobody's going to answer your phone. Telephone calls should be answered within at least within seconds. Nobody actually who is at least sick phone a doctor and wait for 2 hours. It shouldn't even be 2 minutes. The length of waiting on the phone should not be 2 minutes. It should be seconds. If you wait the longest, maybe 1 minute, which is actually for somebody who is sick, phoning the hospital. You ask them why is that they don't their lack of resources. And it is true. But who is responsible? The government, the UK government. Because the UK government is running Britain. Not the health service, not doctors, not general practitioners, not family doctors. General practitioners are actually family doctors in the United Kingdom. Most of them are private companies. And they're waiting for the government to pay them. I don't know whether the government pays. The government actually tells us they are spending a lot of money on the healthcare. Sometimes they accuse the British people for living too long. So much so that the British people used to retire at 55. The government is arguing people are not dying. They should die. Emphasis is mine. But if you think about what you say if you are a government, you are literally saying the British people should die at 55 or at 60. Why are they living until 80? In that sense, they should retire. British people should not retire. So retirement age has been pushed from 55 to everybody should retire after 50. And everybody should get state pension, whether you work or not. Because you see, we are operating a system of capitalism. Under capitalism, full employment is a myth. The government either doesn't know what it's talking about, or something is wrong with the government. If they tells you, any expert who tells you there is employment for everyone, and you don't even see the work. If you start looking for work, you don't find it. And people who work are continuing to work, but losing your job now is so easy. Technology is on the increase. Everybody knows, the government should know that artificial intelligence is now being implemented in the government department, including the Department of Work and Pension. Artificial intelligence is now being introduced to run the system. What artificial intelligence does actually, it is intelligent, and providing service is actually based on intelligence, being clever. the machine progressively. Computing is doing almost all the admin work, which used to be the mainstay of the management, the administrative sector work. That's why now, as I speak, admin work is gone. Totally, it's zero. If it's there, it's maybe 1 or 2%. Retail sector, which used to be the mainstay of employment service for young people who live living in university, this is now gone. Well, it is there. I think it's between 40 and 50% probably less, because of technology. You know, the checkout, the pricing, and retailers used to put price tags on product manually. Now it is actually automated. People used to work in stores, in warehouses. Now it is mechanized, which is a good thing. Agriculture is declining because of machine, which is good. But you see, there is a condition of income. There's a condition of people who need income to buy. If you shut down the public sector, you cannot help people who are excluded by the economy. Which exclusion is actually on the increase. Technocrats, accountants are losing their jobs. Computer engineers are losing their jobs. Lawyers are losing their jobs. Medical doctors, sooner or later. The police, the army, the prison wardens, probation officers, and sooner or later, housing officers, advisors, losing their jobs. If you go to government departments, it's almost, it goes down, it's empty, because the civil servants are losing their job. All the middle economy is shutting down in terms of employment. In terms of performance, it is actually growth, economic growth, because of machine, because of computing, because of computers can now do your accountancy work more or less. Increasingly, this is becoming the case, and it's something which we need to talk about, we need to think about, and we need to work around it to try and see how we're going to access income. The answer is the government has no plans, because the government cannot have plans on income. The government has left everything in the hands of private companies who only are there for the money. Private companies are there to run the economy, to make money, maximize the profit. So we say this is basic economics, and you learn it in maybe GCSE or A level, maybe at university also. So everybody should know about it, that you don't expect, I mean, you don't need an expert to tell you that private companies are not there to produce, to create jobs. They don't. They create jobs when they need people to work. And because of technology, they no longer need people. So they are closing down employment. That is a situation, and people are not actually being employed because technology and other factors, but mainly technology. Actually, as I speak, there's more wealth in society because of technology. Technology is creating wealth. Everybody should be out of poverty now because of technology. But because of technology, people are actually getting poorer, people are losing their jobs and having to go on the street. The government is sending people into concentration camps, in public libraries, in terrible places. And this is actually what the government have said officially. People should go to the library if they are reading course, if they cannot afford. This is beyond belief. In the 21st century, in one of the leading countries on earth, the United Kingdom, even a child still trying to learn how to speak really know United Kingdom. Even dogs bark United Kingdom. Sheep, cows, they actually make noise of the United Kingdom. Everybody knows it's called Great Britain, it's called Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, England. And there are poor people who are actually getting poorer because they are actually cut off from income, literally, because the public sector fails. The private sector do not do charity, and they don't create jobs because you see they are there to maximize profit. To maximize profit, you have to cut down the cost. The first cost to cut is actually employment, and I would do the same thing if I was actually a private company, because exactly what I was going. I'm not going to give my money to anyone who doesn't work for me. That's number one. Number two, I'm not going to pay. If I can get away with paying them maybe £3 per hour instead of £10 an hour, I can do it. Some employers are probably doing it. Probably they are not even being caught. They are probably slave. They are slave laboring. There's probably slave laboring in the United Kingdom. People working in the UK for £3 an hour, and the government doesn't even know anything about it because he doesn't have the mechanism. Even if he knows, there's nothing he can do because things like that, investigation should be done, and it costs a lot of money. And now, public sector will talk about something called efficiency saving in the public sector, which is a commercial concept, and that is something which is in a leave a comment below and let me know what you think. I mean, all these, I'm talking to you because this is triggered by the behavior of benefit. A sick person is made to move from, you can move between different benefits. Limited capability for work, related activity, because they are very, very, very sick. And then if their sickness reduces according to the DWP, even if the patient, in this case the patient says, I'm still sick, they didn't say no, your sickness has reduced. And often, if you are limited capability for work, if your condition improves, you don't get sickness benefit in practice. Especially now, because the government attitude is to give less benefit to people. And not only law, but actually prevent people from accessing even this because they want to save money. They want to save public money. And money is more important than human life to the government, to maybe to society, because it's a cultural problem in the country also. But not just in the United Kingdom. I've been discussing this. What we do in the UK is actually being done in Europe and America. And sometimes politicians pick on this. And if you challenge them on economic growth, on inflation, it's also happening in Europe. It's also happening in America, it's happening in Africa. They don't mention Africa. Africa is irrelevant in terms of modern system. Africa is like, it's another planet altogether. But if you go to Africa, which is seemingly another planet altogether, there are multi-millionaires and multi-billionaires in US dollar in Africa, which is a good thing. And there are infrastructural development, a lot of infrastructural development, which is wealth, which is capital, which is a form of capitalism. Capitalism is actually increasing in Africa. But there are levels of poverty you see in Africa, which is, you don't see it anywhere else. Children, I don't even want to say how horrible, I won't say it here. It's so big. I mean, even animals don't look like that in Africa. When you go to slum, there are places called slum places. They're just poor area. There are urban areas, there are suburbs in cities and towns. These are actually, if you want to know evidence of evil in the world, go to African poor community. You see the kind of poverty. Children don't have shoes. Having shoes for some children in Africa is unnecessary luxury because they don't know what they're going to eat. Let alone, sleeping in a house is also a luxury. If you find communities who are actually living in poverty, living in a house. I mean, you even find a child sleeping under a tree on a rainy day. That is actually okay compared to the fact that they may not have food or even access to clean water. And the world is treating Africa, including people who are so rich in Africa, they're treating Africa like this. Like Africans are not human. In a global society, Africa is a special case. Africa, in case you don't know what Africa is where black people come from. If there is a group of people being abused in the world, then they are black people. In the United Kingdom, in Europe, in America, across the globe, in Asia, people think black people are not human. Even black people themselves in Africa do not believe in themselves. Because everyone of this is spoken about this, the Arabs, the Europeans, the Jews, Greeks, name them, they just think Africa. If you want people to despise you, be black. Especially be black in Africa, but also black people in Europe and America, in the developed world. But what is most interesting is how badly black people are treated in Africa, in their own countries, by even foreigners. Foreigners who come from, foreign powers come and do whatever they like in Africa. Besides that, Africa have suffered more. But in the same continent, black people, they are black Africans, who are so rich that white people in Britain, in Europe, will look like mosquitoes. It's like you're comparing mosquitoes with elephants. I'm talking about rich people in Europe. The Africans who are so rich in Africa, which make rich people in Europe and America a joke. Because you have billionaires. People worth 10 or even maybe hundreds of billions. I don't know. I think at least 10 of billions of dollars net worth in Africa. Hundreds of millions of wealth in Africa. They're sitting next to people who cannot access clean water, sitting next to people who cannot access medical at all. There is no welfare benefit in Africa. The likes I'm talking about, there is no welfare benefit because Africa is mainly funded by Europe. The IMF and the World Bank fund Africa. And the money given are actually given with conditions to build capital, actually promote capitalism, which is actually creating wealth, building roads, building infrastructure like hospitals, maybe banks, insurance, hotels, national parks, promoting holiday resorts, luxury apartments. That is what Africa is supposed to be. So people in government now take their cuts and enrich themselves. The rest is now used to build infrastructure in Africa. Schools are shutting down. Almost any school functioning in Africa is private school now. Private healthcare. Everything is privatized in Africa. Conditions given by Europeans. They are under strict order not invest in people, and that strict order actually is operating in Europe and America. Governments are not allowed to invest in people. They are allowed to invest in machines. That's why bankers are now shutting down on employment, human-based employment as we know it. You go to the bank, to your bank, retail bank on the street, 9 out of 10 times you're going to actually use the machine. I say that is good, but you see, if that means the majority of the population, 90% are excluded from national resources, from global resources, from world resources, then it is it is unthinkable, because why should that be the case? If there's wealth, it should be given to people who need it. Wealth is not a luxury. Wealth is actually a necessity for people who are not millionaires, but even millionaires and billionaires, because the economy is so volatile. Every little crisis in the world, the economy shuts down. I don't shut down really. It's a lot of disturbance, like the war in Ukraine, the war in the Middle East, now creating a lot of turmoil, economic turmoil. And this is going to increase because violence is actually on the increase. You're living in your country. You're living in your country, you think things will get better, but not on the violent front. There is going to be more war. People are not just fighting. Children are now fighting at 5. Even 3 years. If you are a parent, your child can bite your hand. You don't know what's going on. And children learn to fight from the womb. I mean, some mothers, you know, pregnant. I mean, some mothers with pregnancy start feeling pain when the child is still in the home. The child is kicking our home. Probably, I don't know, maybe playing. But what kind of play is that? When you are hurting your mother, you're not yet born. If you are born, you start biting her hand. The hand will feed you. You start biting. You start, one of the first words a child learns is no. Why are you saying? That is fighting. And they grow up in school, on street. Children are turning into monsters. That is a broken culture. I've been talking about that consistently. I don't know how consistent it is, but I've been talking about it. We need to take a step backward, and then, you know, we have to look after our children. I mean, if you're a mother, stop arguing with your husband or with your partner and so forth. If you are, because experts say children listen to what people say. They listen, they feel how a mother feels. Because if a mother is upset all the time, 90% of domestic violence, domestic abuse, or even excessive drinking, or partying, dancing as if you are not pregnant. I mean, women should do workout. I mean, they should dance if they want to dance, but I don't know. I mean, if you are overactive and you are pregnant, maybe your child is also learning how to be hyperactive. I mean, teachers are complaining of hyperactive children. People who actually have attention deficit disorder. All sort of mess. What is going on? What are we going to do? That is culture. Are we learning peace at home? You see, children are running away from home. Social services used to pick up children from home. Now they can't because there is no money. The government cannot privatize social work. Social services is gone. So children are stranded. We believe they are being abused from home. But the home should be where people run to, not run away from. I mean, what kind of contradiction? Humanity have actually existed running away from trouble, from out. If you are in trouble, you run home. Now you are in trouble at home and you are running onto the street. It's the opposite direction. What kind of peace are we talking about? I mean, what has gone wrong? This, I'm talking about culture, gone from the development, because benefit has to do with development. Talk about culture. What are we going to do? Let us stop and think, and what are we going to do? So we have a situation of benefit, see people moving from one benefit to another at random. Limited capability for work. I can't pronounce this acronym. It's one of the most bizarre acronyms I've ever heard. Limited capability for work-related activity. It's like you're doing speech therapy. Limited capability for work-related activity. What is that? That is, you're sick. You're very sick, and that's the benefit you get. Universal credit sickness element. You're very sick. And that's what these people are doing. I mean, what is happening with the people on creating policy on benefit, limited accountability for work related activity? That if you get more money, because you are very sick, you're not supposed to. You're not actually. The Department of Work and Pension leaves you alone. They don't disturb you to look for work. They don't disturb you to ask you to work because you are sick. But that can change. Can change within weeks. Because you have to actually, if they ask for evidence of sickness, there's something called fit note. It used to be called sick note. But of course they want to be positive about your health condition. They call it now fit note. Because negativity is not really good. Because there's a mantra. We say disability is not inability. And disabled people are so excited. Disability is not inability. Between disabled people can work. But when it comes to benefit, if you're disabled and you can't work, but most disabled people cannot work because the employers don't even want them. Employer actually, the DWP, Department of Work, the government actually, the British government, the UK government is telling the British people, even if you are sick, you are able to work. But employers don't really agree. Because if you are sick, the employers do not employ you. I mean, if you're somebody who is sick and is not going to work, employers know that. The government, the UK government doesn't. It's actually forcing people out of benefit into work. You believe you're sick. Employers are not employing these people. Because there are laws preventing discrimination on the basis of health. But this is actually on a paper. In practice, it is really impractical. These people are so weak. People who are looking for work are so vulnerable. They are living in poverty. They are so worried. They are desperate for work because work is their livelihood. If they don't work, they are going to die. People who cannot work are going to die of poverty because they cannot access food. Especially now we have food bank. Food bank is a horror story. The kind of food provided for in their teen food, they're called teen food, they're actually junk food. Food, the government is actually about to put policy to sanction. Government is now talking of taxing companies which actually sell junk food. And this junk food is being sold in junk food which dogs should not eat is the one being given. I've never been to food bank, but I think the kind of food being given there, because they are teen food, they are pre-processed food, they don't maybe because they don't have the capacity to provide fresh food there. They cannot provide vegetables, because I buy vegetables 2, 3, 4 days. I have to leave it. I just throw it away or eat it. If you can't eat it, you have to throw it away. So the food bank is struggling because the food is donated to food bank. There are farms in the United Kingdom which throw 50% of food produced. They throw it to rot, and most of these farmers are subsidized by the government. This is chaos. The farmers, which are actually big businesses, using public money to grow food in the United Kingdom, they throw most of the food away to waste. When people are going to food bank, the British people should talk to farmers to create centers, not food bank, centers where people go there at least to pick parcels, food parcels. Also, food bank. If there is any sense, because even food bank they don't have food because individuals have to donate food to food bank. Why should the government not negotiate with farmers, big farmers, to actually create a store? Because there's no money. private sector do not provide welfare. The government has closed down the welfare. So there is a vicious circle. If you ask the government what is happening with the public service, they bite their tongues. Politicians who are actually studied in Oxford, they studied in Cambridge, the brightest minds cannot answer a simple question: what happened to the public sector? They have sold it off. That's the answer. They sold off the public sector, and they sold off healthcare. They have sold off the country to the highest bidder. They made a mistake because of bad politics, because of insane ideological rhetoric, or even contemplations, and they cannot tell you clearly because they are so embarrassed, or they are so, I don't know what the problem is. Because if you create a major problem destroying the public sector, and also the private sector is also being destroyed because of technology, and the economy as we know it is going to shut down anyway, because there will still be wealth, but it will be controlled by maybe 1% of the population. So the rest of the population are going to be slaves. Because in technology, maybe in 100 years, 50 years, 100 years, slavery will begin to increase. People are going to be excluded. Technology will start running the economy. The economy starts closing down. The entire economy, even big businesses, will close down because trade will stop. Buying and selling will not be necessary because the machine will be so capable that it will be producing food at no product, good and services at no extra cost. Machine doing that will mean there will be no need to sell anything. Everything right now, actually, cost of living should not even exist because of technology. We are in a situation where private companies are controlling product and productivity deliberately to make money. I don't know what they want money for. It's a form of insanity. People are dying of poverty in Africa. Nobody stopped in a day to consider what are we going to do to help Africa? What are we going to do to help Europe? Because what used to actually happen, the evil in Africa, is now coming back to roost home in Europe, in America, in Asia. See, we used to think something is wrong with Africa. Now, what is happening in Africa is actually happening in the United Kingdom, in Europe. People are actually going to die of poverty. And therefore, we need to speak out. We need to start taking responsibility for our lives if we want to survive. This is actually whether you're poor or rich. Don't think if the rich are dying in the United Kingdom or in the world, rich people are going to survive. One human being neglected to die means everybody is going to die. That is a cultural faith, and I mean it. And if you think I am wrong, leave a comment below. If you think I'm right, leave a comment below. If you feel you just need to do something, do something. See you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching this part. And I've been looking at the universal credit, the secret element, how people can move between benefits. Fortunately or unfortunately, I've been bringing in other issues also, because sometimes you need to bring other issues so that people develop a picture. People really expect to actually benefit easily because they are desperate. And the message to the British government is this: the British people do not want to be in benefit because it is embarrassing, it is enchanting. This is a big country. Especially if you are pensioner. The pensioner in the United Kingdom is supposed to apply for his pension or our pension. If they don't apply, they don't get pension. And the government doesn't care. If it did, pensioners would be supported because there are no advisors now. Advisory services are shutting down because there's no funding. Simple as that. Within the statutory bodies and also the voluntary sector, and also the private companies who are actually being given public money to provide advice or training or things, shutting down because there is no money. All the money is gone abroad to multimillionaires and multimillionaires. I don't know what they use it for. I think they bury it in the sand or in the ground in case the aliens visit the Earth. Then they use it. They use the money to build spacecraft. I don't know what they use the money for, but no money in the country. The money is disappeared. Public money has disappeared because if you work there, then it will be used to promote public service, provide people, get rich people out of poverty. Rich people will be sinking deeper and deeper in the poverty. And what happened in Britain is going to happen. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.